Clockwise, there you go.
Hello, there we go. We're gonna be today's kind of like live video is all about kind of like teaching how to animate. So this is basically my first time doing this live. Usually I just type a script, record the video, and then go from there, right? Now I'm gonna attempt to actually teach while I'm doing it on live, right? And yeah, basically it's the idea of this one. So there would be moments where I'll probably be not talking just because I'm drawing and I'm gonna show you some stuff, and then I'm gonna explain what I did and all, like everything. So I'm gonna start first with explaining what animation is all about. Like animation is kind of like just a series of kind of like images put together, and basically this is what it is. This one image over here. It's one image. Yeah, so there's one image here. If we zoom in like this, second image, well, this is gonna be the first image, the second image, the third image, the fourth image, and the fifth image, like played in a sequence, right? Over time, let's say 1 second. So the very first idea I want to kind of like give you guys is the idea of timing, right? Or animating in 24 frames per second, or 24 frames per second, 12 frames per second, 8 frames per second. So what we're doing basically right now is animation. Yeah, let me type that one out. Animation is basically a series of images played through time Animation is basically a series of images played through time to create an illusion of movement. An illusion of movement. So we all know that, like, that's the basic idea of animation. So now we're gonna kind of like come to now we're gonna do something like to explain that further, right? So there is usually so forgive me if I'm a little bit not, I don't want to say not prepared, but like this is my first time doing this kind of like method. Usually I just record, type my script, cut down the script, and then record it. So right now I'm just gonna talk as I work. So animation is basically a series of images played through time to create an illusion of movement. That's what animation is all about. But there is such thing that's called, let me just figure this one out. Yes, we're gonna put that here, that here, then next image. Yeah, it's like, so what is time, right? So basically you have 1 second usually amounts to 24 frames, and that is how the 24 FPS became a thing. So they're saying that in 1 second our eyes could see at least, or perceive, right? Our eyes could see and perceive at least 24 images in 1 second. In 1 second. So imagine yourself like watching something and all that stuff. So like our eyes are really looking at one still, like 24 images played through time. So that is basically what this 24 FPS and basic kind of like where this came about. Like our eyes can perceive at least not at least but 24 images per second. So obviously you can create a movement from 60 FPS and whatnot, but 24 images per second is quite something, right? And that's how powerful our vision is. So from there, the animation of people working on 24 frames per second came about. Now how would that work in a setting? Yo, what's up, Zamoka, to see? Yeah. So right now, I don't see who's here. So what I'm doing is basically giving you an animation one-on-one course live. So feel free to ask some questions. I'm gonna talk through camera while I do this. This is the first time I'm gonna do this for a 1,000 subscriber special. I really don't know how it's gonna turn out. So I'm trying like something new to here. So invert CGI. Thank you. So yeah, like I'm trying something new by doing a live lesson for you all. So it would help if you guys are kind of like throwing in some questions here and there. So let's do this together. So like it's a 1,000 subscriber special, and this is kind of like a gift to everyone who's been supporting me to kind of like do a live lesson. And also like I want to get into the habit of basically being able to talk while on camera, because I do record my videos. I'm not on camera right now. So anyway, so hopefully you guys are cool with what's happening. Yeah, feel free to chime in when you guys are here. So yeah, so 1 second, 24 frames, 24 FPS, 24 images in 1 second. Our eyes could perceive that, right? So that's where, and it's it's basically easier to show it to you guys on what that looks like. So I created this, like like we have, like I'll redo those things, and then I'm gonna reuse that character to be able to show you what I mean, and then we're gonna play through it, right? So the next here, I'm gonna create a folder, and from here we're gonna create a grids, and I'm gonna just copy the grids over here that I created because it's already created, and there's no reason for me to do that again to save time. And then bam, bam, bam. Yeah, so we're gonna copy this and go here. Yeah, so we have our grids over here. Thank you, man. Yeah, so like we do our best here. That's all. So I'm helping people get into animation because I love the whole animation industry and how it is. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate you, man. I know, again, what we're trying to do here is to kind of like teach you guys. So over here, I divided this into 24 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 24 sections over here to indicate 24 frames per second. Each of this mark is basically an indication of one frame, 24 FPS, right? And then this is So when you say 24 FPS, you're basically saying animating in ones, right? 12 FPS, right, is basically equivalent to animating in twos. And then 8 FPS is basically animating in threes. So you can say that you are animating in 24 frames per second, but you can animate in threes or you can animate in twos, right? No, but like for me, 24, like, let me show you the difference. So give me a few minutes to be able to draw this character and go from there. So what I'm gonna do over here is to create an animation folder right here. Okay, so I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna put this as notes, and then we're gonna create demo 1. So we're gonna put this grids over here and put it here, and we're gonna turn that off. So we're gonna create our character demo 1. So demo 1, and then we have like 24 animating in ones, right? Yeah, okay. So animating in ones. So I'm gonna draw a simple character. His name is Gudetama. Like, if you guys have seen him, he looks like this. He looks like an egg. So we're gonna just basically draw him, right? And to save time, I'm just gonna copy paste this character, right? And place him to each of these grids, right? So that you can see. Because I think that. So we're gonna just copy paste him. Copy paste. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So copy the frame. No. Copy the frame like that. Second frame goes to here. And I'm gonna show you the onion skin as I go through this stuff, right? Copy paste the frame. Next frame goes to here. Copy paste the frame. Now we're gonna have to place him over here. So we know that we're animating in ones. Right now we're placing this character in ones, and then what I'm really doing right here, just to show you how it works, is I'm copy pasting the same character and moving him along with this space over here. So I have a lot of shortcuts. I have made some videos on kind of like how to animate a Genga drawing or how to color a Genga. I made a video on how to be fast, and what I'm doing here is like just basically something that is a result of me being able to do something fast, right? So after this one, this is 24, and then we'll have like a 25th frame over here, just to kind of like show. Yeah, the 25th frame is like we don't need to place a character on this end over here, just because it's looping. Like we're just gonna pretend to do that, right? So what I'm gonna do next is like, now you can see that here, that is how he's being played, right? 24 frames per second. And over that span of space, he looks fast, right? And he looks smooth, right? You can almost see like an after image in each frame, and that is because of our eyes basically saying that we are perceiving this character moving in that space very fast, right? Like with the spacing almost as if closer to each other right here. That spacing, you know, like this spacing over here, you can see them overlapping, right? That overlap is what you can see and perceive in your eyes, right? And that's the reason why, 24 frames per second looks very 24 frames per second or animating in once looks very fast, because when you create an image, like the movement is very fast. Yeah, all in one. Yo, what's up, man? Today what we're doing is basically just giving you guys a heads up on how to animate. Like animation 101 live lesson is what we're doing right now. So yeah, I'm just explaining this concept of 24 frames per second animating in once, right? So let me see if I could see. Yeah, this notes over here. Yeah, okay, this notes is supposed to be on top of this one, and then yeah, so this is 24 frames per second, right? Let me turn those off, the notes, as the 24 frames per second or animating in once. Now let's move on to animating in twos. Again, we're gonna use the same character, right? We're gonna use the same character, Gudetama, and now you're gonna see the difference between the two, right? So let me just copy that, and then animating in twos, and we're gonna put the animating in twos, this lineup, on top of it, right? Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna delete all these frames over here, and then I'm gonna move Gudetama in I'm gonna move Gudetama in the space. Right. Again, 12 frames per second is 12 drawings per second. Right? So we're actually saving time. We're cutting the work in half, essentially. There's supposed to be no 13. So again, when he's reaching it, you're supposed to go back to this one, right? So that's why, yeah. So like they're not really reaching the end just because of where, like just because of the animation, right? So you can see now the kind of like, obviously 24 frames per second is a lot more smoother than 12 frames per second, but 12 frames per second is more common. First of all, it is to basically cut the work in half, and 12 FPS has a lot more snappier kind of like feeling around it, right? It's more snappy, it's more like, and it doesn't really change a lot of it aside from just being smoother, right? The one below is just really smooth. The other one still achieves the same thing, but it's almost like the same, right? I hope that makes sense. 12 frames per second versus 24 frames per second, right? At the end of the day, it's like how you animate is all up to you. How much work are you willing to do? I think that's it. So now let's move on to 8 frames per second, which is a lot more snappier. We're gonna copy that one. And 8 frames per second is basically like animating in trees, right? So let's delete all of it right here, and frame 13. So we're gonna have someone, and animating in trees is kind of like my favorite one, to be honest. And I don't want to say I'm a lazy animator, but when you're animating, there is an essence of being able to try to figure out the best spacing for your, which we will be discussing later on, right? So I should probably grab something. Yeah, so that is 8 frames per second. Obviously a lot snappier, a lot more like all of these animations are the same. They're moving at the same speed. They are really moving at the same speed, right? You don't think that they're moving at the same speed because of the frame rate. Look, it kind of looks like 24 frames per second is a lot faster, but in reality it's not. It's your eyes tricking you, right? Also, just because 24 frames per second, enough time to learn animation with hard studying of animation things. You think 1 year is so enough? Like, I mean, learning animation is for me, right? It's all about a continuous learning process. I'm still learning right now. Like, I've learned animation 3 years ago, and I'm not saying like the basics you can learn in a year, in less than a year, right? But what is your goal, right? The goal. What's your goal in kind of like trying to learn animation? What are you trying to do, right? Because if your just goal is to animate simple stuff, like less than a year is very, very possible. Like Lika, right? So anyway, I'm gonna grab some water and then just drink some water. I forgot to grab some water, but like I just want to kind of like give you guys a very basic understanding of animation, right? So animation, 24 frames per second versus 12 frames per second, or 8 frames per second is basically animating in ones, twos, or threes, right? So you can see the difference on how it's played over here. If you have any questions, let me know. But I'm just gonna grab water real quick, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm back, guys. Thank you. So like Lika, you were saying, I see Japanese artists do a whole drawing with a full body and full coloring with shading, and the crazy part is they all do that in under 2 hours. So you think learning this skill to draw and color way faster is a very important skill to learn as an animator? Yes, it's important to learn how to draw. If I'm being honest, 2 hours is, I don't know if it's a common thing, but I try to at least draw something similar as. Let me open some files for you guys. Yeah, so something like this is what you're talking about. This guy over here was drawn in under maybe at most 20 minutes, right? That includes basically that includes the rough and all that stuff, right? So frame count isn't even necessary about being lazy. It's more about desired outcome, art, and the action taking place, fight scene. Yes, 100%. It's not like I'm right now. We're very early, guys. We're very early with this. Like I wanna kind of like put this into a save notes as 009, right? Because my yeah, so I want to save that first. Anyway, yeah. So frame count isn't even about that, and we're just starting, to be honest. I'm just explaining how basically 24 frames per second came about, right? Let's do this one. Notes. Yeah, animation is basically a series of images played through time to create an illusion of movement. And from that, we have the 24 frames per second because our eyes can perceive 24 images per second at the very least. I've read that somewhere, don't quote me on it, but that's basically what I learned. And we don't actually do that. Like, well, we do, but it's all about whether or not what you choose to animate. Zamoku Tusi, can I call you Tusi, bro? Like, Tusi is 100% right. He is saying that depends on the action, you might need to be animating in threes, twos, and ones, right? So what I'm really just saying is that animation is a series of images, movement, and time, right? Now I kind of wanna move on from that topic, and then go from um, the aspect of spacing, timing, and spacing. You know, timing and spacing. There's a lot of the times, this is like what's really gonna. This is the, Zamo. There you go, Zamo. Timing and spacing is all about understanding the previous thing that I talked to you about, which is you understand that animation is achieved through putting together images in and play it through a certain time, right? So if you play an image if you play like this guy over here, a ball, say good time over here, he's right here he's right here at the beginning, and then he goes after 1 second, he basically moves to here, right? So starting position and ending position. The thing is, let me move Budetama over here. Let me move him right here. If we so the idea of timing and spacing and animation is like you want to move the character from this position to this position, and moving dictates basically what's happening in between, right? What's happening from this point on to this point on, right? So at the start, at kind of like 0 second, we see Gudetama over here. We see this ball with the lazy face over here. And then maybe after a second or 2 seconds, after 2 seconds, we see him here, right? If we only draw these two images, you need to understand where they are, like how you're gonna be able to put that and have an animation that looks like he went from here to here. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't understand the timing and spacing, what you might want to do, right, is basically this, right? Let's do another notes from demo 1. Let's do demo 2 over here. I'm gonna copy from this one. Yeah, from this one, I'm gonna copy him right here. Cut. I'm putting him right there. Yeah, so I'm putting him right there, and then the next drawing I'm putting this guy and right here. There we go. So if we turn off our notes, we are, like I said, frame 1, and then if you say after, let's just say after 2 seconds, like after 1 second, right? After 2 seconds, you might then you're gonna say like, oh, he goes right here after 2 seconds, right? And then you're playing through like that. So you see how fast that is. Like it's almost like teleportation or whatever, right? Or let's say the whole thing is played in 2 seconds, but you see him here at basically 0 second, and after 1 second you see him here after 1 second, right? So he kind of looks like he teleported, right? He looks like he teleported from that one to that one. This is basically 1 frame per second, which is sometimes being animated sometimes, right? Now, the whole idea of what I'm talking about here in this class notes over here, sorry, let's turn off class notes here, where Gudetama is right here, is now we need to figure out how he's gonna move from this section to this section, right? And that is gonna be determined by your timing and then spacing, right? So timing is when you're looking at the timeline right here, right? So let's turn off the class notes again, and then let's do demo 2. And I'm gonna draw another layer over here to kind of like indicate. So right here, what you're seeing, the timeline determines. So okay, let me backtrack to that one. What I'm saying is that the timing is all about how long each of these images are held and where they are being held in the timeline, right? How long are these images? How many frames? Okay, let's. How many frames are these images held? And basically where they are in the timeline, right? So if we try to animate Gudetama coming from that one to that one, we're gonna have to determine something, right? That something is where are the images, what are the images we're gonna do to connect him between this position over here and this position over here. So let's draw a line that will indicate where Gudetama is. I think that's where, oh shoot, this one, this one. So there are 2 images, right? Can you read my comment up? Yeah, yes, Lika. So which one? The frame. I think it's important to cut the stream when you finish it and edit it as the video, so we can get the benefit of the stream at full. Oh yeah, 100%, bro. Like what my plan is to, after this stream, I'm gonna make a video on Friday that will be released on Friday or Saturday, where I put it all together and you get a condensed version of this video, right? Like it's gonna be like an 8 to 12 minutes video where I say how to animate, how to learn animation in 40 minutes or something like that. So yeah, for sure I will cut the video up, but like I'm just kind of like trying something new Like, I don't know whether or not I'm gonna do this again. Like, I'm gonna have to see, like, the interest from the viewers, right? There's not a lot of people commenting, and I couldn't really tell how many people are actually watching right now. Um, but I will definitely create a video on how to animate that's not a stream, because I could recognize that I can talk and it's like it's live stream, like I don't really do this thing. I would rather kind of like do something different, but that's how it is, right? So yeah, is that the comment you want me to read? So again, like, how many frames, timing is all about how many frames are these images being held and where they are in the timeline. If we only have these two images, we can adjust the timing, right? We can say that every 6 frames he goes back and forth, right? Which is fast, right? Every 6 frames, right? So he basically went to this position twice before coming back twice. Like, he went 1 to 1 2 in 1 second, right? That's basically fast, right? If I don't loop it, what you'll see is that that's fast, right? I have a weird question. I'm not good at drawing, so let's say if you learn animation and you learn to draw by the time you are animating, you think it can work, or I must learn? Then you have to do, like, basically drawing. How can I say this? Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, do you need to learn how to draw first before you learn how to animate? People who can't draw can animate, right? People who can't draw can animate by doing something else, like motion graphics or like 3D animation. Some of those people cannot draw, but they can animate because of the medium they're animating. If you want to learn how to animate a scene, or like how to animate an anime, you need to learn how to draw, right? Whether or not you do it at the same time as you're learning animation, or you do it before you learn animation, will really depend on how much time you have, right? And how much time are you willing to put on it, right? So going back to this idea of like timing, right? This is very fast, right? And then he's being held hostage at this position, right? And then we go, what if after half a second he go there? So that's a half a second travel time, right? And then you can see earlier that this is this is 1 second, right? That is the timing. You're adjusting the position of the drawing in the timeline in relation to what you wanna accomplish or wanna do. If you want him to travel faster, you have to move him closer to the next drawing in that space, right? If you want him to move slower, you have to hold the drawing longer. Now here's what's gonna happen, right? We also have the spacing. Right now, we have this much space. We have this much space between the first position and then the second position. So, in animation, we cannot just have two drawings unless you're really just trying to make him move fast, right? If he moves fast, like very instantly, like that, that is an animation, right? Or if you want him to just bounce off again, like that, is an animation, right? He's just kind of like teleporting to one position to another. That is an animation, right? But that's not what we're trying to do, right? So this is all just me saying that timing is important, right? And you have to understand what timing is all about. Timing is basically you putting the drawings and adjusting it in the timeline. How long or how many frames are these images being held, and where they are in the timeline, right? The next thing I want to say is the spacing, right? The spacing right here. Now spacing is all about the space between Gudetama. It is all about the space between your drawings, right? That is the spacing, right? I already drew like a kind of like an indication of where the spacing is all about. Spacing. That's the space. Now, again, spacing is the distance between two drawings. Two drawings. Bam. Spacing is the distance between two drawings. And with a combination of timing and spacing, you'll be able to create an animation, right? So now that we have this one, let me put it here, and then have the and then put that there. Spacing is the distance between two drawings, and timing is how many frames are those images being held, where they are in that timeline. Now, the next thing I want to do is to connect these two drawings by creating an animation. Now, this is where the fun part begins. How many images are you willing to put in? How long is the timeline? How long is the animation? If let's say the animation is gonna be like more 1 minute, and it's basically 1 second and a half, 1.5 seconds, right? Or let's say 2 seconds for like simplicity purposes. And you want to see Gudetama travel from here to here in like, and you want to see him travel in 1 second. That's gonna be your animation. Now we have to connect these drawings, right? So the next thing I want to do is to determine my frame rate. Like I said earlier, the demo I did create talks about this one. There we go. And we already established like that we can animate in different ways. How many drawings are you willing to do, right? Let's just say I'm willing to do like a regular 12 frames per second, right? So what I will do in this other demo that I have is to copy our lazy boy, I want to copy him and then move him to the middle right here, right at the 13 mark. And I'll kind of like delete that, and then I'm gonna have to copy him again, and then move him kind of like the middle again. So I'm just putting him in the middle of these things, right? It's gonna help if I have the onion skin animation turned. Animation, new, like show animation cell, onion skin setting, like maybe 3 and then 1. So it's gonna help us see the in between, right? And replacing him right in the middle. So if we play that, we added 3 drawings, right? Drawing number 1, 1, A2, and then A3, A4, and then A5. This is basically our animation, right? We added 3 drawings in between, which is turns out it's be animating in 6 or 6, 6, right? So we have between these two these 2 drawings, we have kind of like 3 drawings, right? Now the next one is maybe we could add a little, like we can add more drawings, right? Like I said, I want to animate this in 2, right? So to smoothen out the action, obviously this is gonna be A3, we have this A4, A5, this becomes A6, right? And then this becomes A7, and then by the way, guys, like if you are worried, I will make a video of this one again. So I know this is kind of like I'm just trying something new by explaining and all that stuff. So I really don't know whether or not it's gonna work, right? I don't know what if you are interested on kind of like seeing all of this one and me making a live lesson. So everything got adjusted because now we have 13 drawings, right? And now we have an animation that makes this character travel from that to that, right? But here's the problem. Animation, like now we get the timing and spacing and how we can do that. And again, timing is just how many frames are kind of like, how many frames or and where are these drawings in the timeline. That's the timing, and then the spacing is how the spacing between 2 drawings, right? Now we're gonna have to, with this idea to achieve animation, to control the timing and to control the spacing, we can achieve animation, right? Now, how can we make our animation good, look good? Because this doesn't look good to me. He looks like he's traveling at a constant speed from one point to another, right? There's nothing wrong with that. He looks like a lazy thing, lazy boy, like, which is his whole character. Right? Now, the way we're gonna be able to achieve this one, right, is to introduce another topic called ease in and ease out. So let's copy this demo over here, demo 3, and then we already have demo 1 over here. Yeah, demo 1 is done, and then demo 2 is now we're gonna do a topic called ease in and ease out. Ease in and ease out. Before I move on to actually this demo 3 right here, let me go back to demo 2, right? So demo 2 talks about, timing and spacing. And speed, like the concept of speed, revolves around your control of timing and spacing. The timing of the character, the longer the drawing is held, how many frames it's being held, all that stuff, that will determine the timing, right? Which means if you have a drawing held for 1 second, that drawing is considered slow, Like the longer you are looking at the drawing in one position, one drawing, time slows by. And the closer they are in the timeline, the closer the drawings are in the timeline, the faster the drawings are, right? One thing I could show that to you is that if I adjust this one to show I don't know how I'm doing this manually. There should be a way to do it faster. You know what? There is a way to do it faster. Let's go to animation, edit track, assign multiple cells. Number of frames. Should we have 4? And number 13. There we go. And we can simply go like that. Yeah, so you see how slow he became when I held the drawings 2 more frames than usual. He looks so slow, right? He looks freaking slow. Whereas, if I have the same animation right here, demo 3, but we retain that 2 frames per 12 frames per second idea, animating in twos. The other one is this one is animating in fours, demo 2, and then this one is animating in threes. He, like, the one on top got to his position faster, right? And that is speed. Basically, you're controlling the timing of you're controlling the timing by holding off more frames per drawing, right? And if you want to go further, right, and then animate them in ones, which is the fastest one. Edit track, assign multiple cells, number of frames 13, start number and number 13, number of frames is 1. There you go. So again, we have something like 3 over here. The one on top, the topmost travels fastest because he is animated in ones, right? That's how you control the timing to be able to achieve speed. Hold the drawings longer than hold the drawings longer to make them slow, or hold the drawings with less frames, put them in like 1 frame per second, basically every frame is a different drawing, right? So that's how you achieve speed using timing. To achieve speed using spacing, that's when things are a little bit different, and that's kind of like where I want to go with the next demo, right? To achieve speed using spacing, all you really have to do is to place these drawings farther apart from each other. Meaning, if I put him here, right, and then adjust these drawings accordingly. I don't know if I'm doing my if I'm doing kind of like a good job in teaching live, so I apologize if it doesn't look like it. So the further apart the drawings are from each other, the faster they are, right? And that's because you're covering a lot of distance between two drawings in the same amount of time, right? And the closer they are to each other, the faster they are, right? This one is faster, even though it's animated at the same rate, because he is able to kind of like get to a position from here farther than this guy at the bottom. It's the same time, right? But the one on top is faster because he covered a lot more. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. He covered a lot more spacing. He covered a lot more distance in the same amount of time. That's why, for me, even though they're animated at the same frame rate, the guy on top is faster because he got to, let's say this position right here is probably 1 kilometer, right? 1 kilometer or 1 meter. This position right here is 1 meter. Sorry, this position one is 1 meter, and this is maybe 1.5 meters, right? For a small leg, that's really like a lot, you know. So you see, the guy on top is faster, right? Because he's covering a lot of speed. Now combine that with animating it in once. If I do it this way, sorry. This is gonna go even faster. No, we won't animate them in once, right? Because I want to kind of like compare the two of like distance wise, right? Now, this is where this whole concept of ease in and ease out comes in, right? So, ease in and ease out. It's basically acceleration and deceleration. Deceleration. So, like naturally, like this movement right now, so this movement right now is not natural because he's moving. Hi, yes, do. How are you? Right now we're doing a live lesson on how to animate. So, like I'm doing something new to celebrate the 1,000 subscriber special. So, hope you all like it or whatever. So we're right here. We're doing our best, right? So ease in and ease out, acceleration and deceleration is what we're talking about right now. And that the whole aspect of this animation, how does this animation feel, right? How does this animation feel? Like, it looks a little bit robotic, it looks boring, it doesn't look like something, like, even though I put a face on a simple ball, it looks like just a normal animation. Like, there's nothing special to it. Like, if you can animate like this, right, you've done the basics, right? And it's not even the basics, it's like less than the basics, right? It's fun, but we can improve. And that is where ease in and ease out, acceleration and deceleration is gonna come to, right? Acceleration and deceleration is all about what our natural movement is, which means we often accelerate, slow ourselves into a movement, and slow ourselves out of the movement. Like, we try to slow, go fast, and then slow, right? And again, spacing is how we're gonna do it, right? Ease in and ease out. So first, we need to determine the distance between these two, right? So if I just try to kind of just put him properly right here, right? Yeah, so we're like it's clean. Like I wanna mark him to be here, and then mark him to be right there, and then that's the total distance. And each mark right here is an indication of where the next drawing is, right? Ease in and ease out looks something like this. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. What I'm talking about right here is something you can find anywhere on YouTube, by the way. So, and I'm gonna put a recording like here, right? So for us to be able, so this, each mark of this one indicates where they should be in the draw, in terms of the spacing. This is what an ease in and ease out graph looks like, right? Acceleration and deceleration. And the reason being is that the closer the drawings are to each other, the slower they become. So over here, in this part over here, we have the character is supposed to go slow, and over here, so this part over here is slow, and this part over here is fast, and then this part over here is slow. The reason being how that really works out is because the more drawings you have compiled to get closer to one another at a rate of speed of like 12 frames per second, you'll have more drawings in one spot than another, and you can see more drawings in there. So if we adjust this one, right, we need to put this character right here, the next one almost like right there, and then the next one is gonna be here, next one is right here, seven right here, 8 is right here, 9. You see how the drawings are kind of like moving from their original position, and then you can suddenly see that like they are very, very so now what we're gonna do, I kind of want to make sure that we still have the old one. Oh shoot, come on. Okay, let me do that again. Like this is animation, this animation moves faster. I think normal I can watch it easily. This animation I think normal can watch it easily. Faster. I don't understand the question. Like this animation faster, I think normal I can't watch easily. Yeah, I can't. I don't understand. So, let me do that again, because I should have copied. You know. Okay. Now we have a copy. So this animation is 1 second. He moves from one location to another in 1 second at a constant speed. which is boring. Now we're gonna do a copy, right? And then we're gonna move the drawings closer at the beginning, and at the end. So now we could actually see the difference if we move this frame, this whole thing, a little bit down so that we can see the difference. And move this on top, right there. So before you look at the difference, how many layers must be in 2 seconds? How many layers must be in 2 seconds? It's really up to you, you know, like, and that's why we're discussing ease in and ease out, right? Like, the number of layer depends on how you want that animation to be. Do you want it fast? Do you want it slow? Right? There's no 100% answer that will kind of like be, oh, there's no rule around it. How many layers must be in 2 seconds is a question that depends on what kind of animation do you want to see in 2 seconds. Because if you're only animating something like, you know, I don't know, a guy sleeping, you don't even like, you only need 1 layer. What are you animating? Are you animating a still image, right? Or are you animating an action? If what you're asking is if you're animating an action, what kind of action is it? Is it an action of fighting animation, right? If it's a fighting animation, maybe 8 frames per second, or animate in trees, 2 seconds, that's 16 drawings, right? So let's see how this movement is right now. You see how slow that is? Kind of like, it's a lot more, how do I call this? It's a lot more natural to have an animation like compared to this one. The slow, like the top one is a lot more interesting for me, okay? So not for everybody, but for me. But it is a rule, you know? Like, this is something that most animators would say, most people who are teaching animation would say, the top animation, even though I didn't do anything different yet, right? I controlled just the spacing between each drawing, right? Like, I was able to achieve a much more natural movement, right? So that is in and is out, right? Sometimes you don't even need to combine both, right? Maybe you can just do like an ease in. Well, in reality, what's happening over here is slow, fast, slow, right? Slow, fast, slow. But this is where easing out of the action or acceleration happens when you start slow and then go fast and then slow again. And this is you're easing into the post or easing into the action, right? Easing out of the action or easing into the action, right? Either way, you probably get what I mean. I don't know, but hopefully. Hi, can you please explain the meaning of letter A, B, notations like A1 in Japanese plants? I know it's over subject, but I really want to understand. By the way, your work is crazy good. Thank you, Ari Draw. Thank you, Ari. Okay. Yes. Let's do a very quick one. Uh, So, this animation has 3 parts on it. A1, B1, and then I haven't labeled this one, but the ball is basically C, right? Notations is basically A, B, C is a character or is what a separate character from the animation, right? If you have a shot like this with multiple subject or multiple characters in one shot, you need to separate them between one A, B, or C, right? So that would mean if you play this through, your animation is like this guy in the foreground that's closer is character A. The guy at the back is character B, and then the ball is quote unquote character C, right? Each drawing A1, A2, A3 signifies a different drawing for that character for each frame, right? So B1 is this one, right? B1 is here, B2 is here. In between them, there's an in-between drawing that's supposed to come here. So I don't label the in-between, but B2 is basically that. B3 is another drawing, you know. In fighting action, the art changes with Sakuga action. Why? Well, because there's a lot of different characters. There's a lot of different animators working in one cop, you know. And to save time, especially if you're in a deadline, right? Some of that quality, you lose some of that quality, right? And that's why map animators or whatnot are overworked because there's a lot of work. This is a lot of work. Animation is a lot of work. So if you recognize that, then you could understand why some animations loses quality when it's a very intricate one. The drawings are losing quality, but it doesn't necessarily bad, right? The art changes. The art changes because they're trying to simplify the drawings, right? Now let's go back to this one. I hope you guys are still with me with what I'm trying to do here. Right? Slow in and slow out. This is more natural, right? Another spacing that you can do is just maybe just ease in, right? Which means okay, let's move. And then let's create another kind of like graph over here. The graph helps me, by the way, to locate where the drawing is going to be, right? So if I'm here, one, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So what we're going to do is right here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I need to add 2 more. So this graph that I'm doing is more. Now I understand better. Thanks a lot for the explanation. Got you, Ari. So what I'm trying to show here is the concept of acceleration, right? No deceleration, right? So I want to kind of like move this character this is just like something different. So let me turn the other off, right? So he's slowing down and he's slowing, right, into the action, or like his acceleration into the action, right? So he's like starting slow and then moving fast, right? Starting slow and moving fast. Let me put my notes over here because we don't have a lot of space. Because I want to show another method of like, what if we do something the opposite, right? What if we do a demo of the character doing we flip it, right, boop, boop, and now we adjust, right? Oh shoot. We adjust the spacing of the characters. what is difference between them, the time, or many movements you draw very close? Um, can you don't shut down with me? Um, sorry, I couldn't really understand the question. What is the difference between the time or many movements you draw very close? Uh, Wait, trying to understand that. Hmm. Trying to understand what you're saying. Oh, between the time or many movements you draw very close. Oh, so okay, timing and spacing, right? So timing, that's the whole thing. There's two ways to control speed, right? Timing and spacing, right? What I'm showing you is how to control it using spacing. Earlier, I showed you how to control it using timing, right? That's the difference. So if you like, you can see in the timeline, they all have different kind of like different what do you call this? Let me just so in the timeline, right? So these different ways, yeah. So basically, I'm controlling the speed based on the spacing of the characters, right? Based of the spacing of the drawings. But when I control the speed based on the timing, this needs to be changed. Like, oh, maybe I need the character to move like I need him to move from this location to another in 2 seconds or in 1 second or in half a second, right? So that is timing, and you control that by moving these drawings into here, right? Now it will depend um on how you understand the difference between good spacing and timing, right? So that's why I'm trying to kind of like get into explaining it like roughly right now. And again, I don't know if I'm doing a good job. I'm just trying my best over here, right? So again, this one is acceleration, and the top one is deceleration. It's like he starts fast and then he basically slows down, right? That's what you do when you hit a red light, when you're about to go um during a car, right? When you're driving and you're stopping, this is what you do. You don't just stop right away, right? And when you stop right away, that's when accidents happen, right? When you're driving a car, right? Because of the momentum of the car, and then you stop right, like if you stop right very fast, right? If you're traveling very very fast and then you stop right away during fast, that's when accidents happen. So the deceleration is actually a very natural movement that we do as humans. You just don't stop late. You have to slow down. The rate of slowdown or acceleration really depends on the movement, right? I'm not saying that you cannot do it fast and then suddenly stop, right? You might not just need like a couple of drawings to just have that stop, that deceleration sell a bit, like it's to show it, you know. What's up, guys? We are doing a live lesson on animation, right? With different timing and spacing right here. Let me rest my voice a bit. I hope you guys are okay, cause like I'm just kind of like chilling. I've been talking for the past 1.5 hours. Yes, it depends on the situation when you're in. Right? If you really want to do snappy animation and all that stuff, you can. You've seen probably a Sukuna animation or like a fighting animation. All it takes is just a couple of drawings added at the end pose, right? Let me rest my voice, by the way. So, that's why I need to drink water. So this is ease in and ease out, by the way. So, yeah. Just wanna get that so that everyone could understand that they are doing ease in and ease out topics right now. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, let's go back to kind of like pointing out the ease in and ease out, right? So again, like if I just turn this off and compare these two animations over here without you looking at the graph, the one on top is a lot more natural with an ease in and ease out um, applied to it, right? And I kind of just want to explain the. Oh no. I kind of want to just explain how it's done by controlling the spacing of each of this one, right? Now, let's move on to the next kind of like demo. Let me create a copy of this one. Also, by the way, this, like, I know I say this is my first time trying this out, like doing a live class on animation. I'm training. I'm training my best to, like, I'm training right now on how to be able to teach and deliver these concepts in a more concrete manner, right? So that it's easier to understand. I don't have to find my words, like just what happened right now. Maybe I need to do a recording next time. Like I said, I do a recording, I type a script, um, but this one is very new to me, so my apologies if it's a bit slow. English is not my first language, but we out here trying our best. So let's copy this one. So what we're trying to do is to just improve one concept to another, right? Copy, paste. Okay, there we go. So we started here. We started this character, right? Constant speed, basic, just to point out what is animation and how animation is made, right? By drawing the character, all that stuff, 24 times, having them move in through space and time, right? To control like all. So we understand that is the introduction of. We started here, right? And then when I try to explain ease in and ease out, right? Ease in and ease out. We got to here. This is level 2, right? Ease in and ease out. So now, what we're gonna do is introduce something called squash and stretch, right? Let's do squash and stretch. Squash and stretch is a concept that basically is associated with soft object, right? And this kind of like odd looking ball that I drew, right? He's an egg yolk. He's really an egg yolk. So he's a very soft dude, right? He's supposed to be soft dude, right? the problem with this current animation that we have, I mean, there's no like, again, it really depends on what you're trying to do. It's not really a problem, but the thing with this animation that we currently have is that it looks like the character is hard, right? It's a hard character. Like, he's just, we copy pasted the same frame from the beginning to end. So naturally, it's kind of like he's a hard surface character, right? Now, if he's a yolk, he's a soft character, and he's an egg yolk, he's supposed to kind of like be a little bit more kind of like fluffy, you know? So animation, squash and stretch, is all about introducing squash, like your character moving, not moving, but your character having a lot more kind of like flexibility. Not flexibility, that's not the word I'm trying to say. A lot more character into it. You're introducing characteristics, whether or not what you're animating is a rock or a ball or maybe like an egg yolk, like this, right? So what happens is that when you are trying to animate speed wise, right? When you're trying to animate speed wise, you can introduce a frame that kind of like defines a frame like this, like, right? And then maybe here is just starting to be so we can copy this guy and then move him to here, and then we can erase this position and move him here. Yeah. So if we now squash him, right? Or stretch. We stretch him. Right? And what if, right? How are we squashing him, right? So let's say here at this end right here, we introduce like you actually no, like we're gonna we need to squash him over here, right? But we're gonna introduce a drawing. No, sorry, my head is trying to think of how to explain this. So we squash him right here. So what if we try that? Let's see how that looks like, right? And then maybe over here we're kind of compared to this one, we can tell that the object on top is more softer, right? Softer, right? Than the object at the bottom. The bottom looks like a rock, and the top looks like a soft object, like a squishy marshmallow, or like I said, he's supposed to be an egg yolk. So yeah, you know, and you can see that you can really see the difference between these two animations, right? They have the same what do you call this, timing and spacing, right? They have the same timing and spacing. However, the top looks like it's faster and slower at the end. Do you guys agree with that? You guys agree that the top one looks faster and the bottom one looks a little bit like faster, right? Than the bottom one at the middle. He's faster at the middle and then he's slower at the end. I'll give you like 2 to 3 minutes to sink that concept in because I need to go to the washroom. Yeah. So coming back to it, the top one looks faster, right? Faster in the middle, slower at the end than the other one. And this is the power of squash and stretch. You can literally just say like you can with introducing the concept of squash and stretch doesn't only allows you to provide some sort of a detail on how what kind of characteristics is your animation going to be. Like it also provides you a little bit of oomph factor when you're animating because the top one looks faster, right? And all of like this is the amazing part of this one is because you are basically what do you call this? You're basically like I'm giving you guys some sort of like basics, right? We're adding stuff like with each and every concept I'm introducing. We're improving the previous animation that we've made, right? Maybe this could be a two-part series. I'm like, we're 2 hours in, you know. I appreciate you guys for being here, but I can still go on. I can still probably do another hour, but let's see. I've only introduced squash and stretch. Now we're introducing another topic, which is anticipation and overshoot, right? I don't know if I've done enough kind of like explanation with squash and stretch, but hopefully I did. Squash and stretch makes, yeah, I think you guys get it. I'm gonna explain it further in the video that I'm going to make about it. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next demo. Let's move on to the next demo, which is, I'm gonna put this as demo 4. Yeah, like I've been talking for 2 hours, but in reality, the video I'm going to make, by the time we reach squash and stretch, is probably just 3 minutes. I'm telling you, all of that stuff that I'm talking about right now can be explained in 3 minutes, or like at most 4 minutes. You know, so which is interesting because we have a lot more things to cover, right? Not a lot, but some stuff, right? Anyway, let's turn that off. Create a copy of the previous one, right? And again, I want to reiterate that we started from the bottom, and now we're here. We started from the bottom, and now we're making our animation look a little bit better and better the more we go on top, right? So just want to kind of like reiterate that. Demo 4. Now we're doing demo 5, which is, okay, can you guys guess what demo 5 is all about? Layer 5 is all about anticipation and overshoot. Most action that we do, we sometimes need to prepare for it. You know, I think that's the whole aspect of anticipation. And sometimes even when we're doing an action, overshoot, anticipation, yes, anticipation is a preparation, right? Anticipation is all about the preparation for action. Prepared. Preparation for action is anticipation, right? And basically what really is what's really it's all about is creating another concept of trying to create an oomph, you know, to our character. Meaning that if I have this character over here, right? We can say that we can add an anticipation pose over here for him to kind of like prepares for the action. Actually, we're not gonna copy this one. We're gonna create something new, but we're gonna need our I think it's demo tree. Yeah. Oh no, not that one. We're gonna need this one. We're gonna need our line, right? To copy. Just need to copy it. So, anticipation. So we need 12, basically 12 drawings, right? We need 12 or 13 drawings, including the one at the end, right? So anticipation is all about, and overshoot, it's all about fixing the timing, right? Now, if we add a drawing just before he gets up to speed, I'm anticipating that we are going backwards a little bit over. Add a drawing right here, right? Or maybe it's almost like right here. I'm gonna show you what that means. So basically, drawing 1 would be here, drawing 2 over here, drawing 3 will be here, right? Drawing 4 will be here, right? 5, 6, 7, and then we have the same thing going on where we can do an overshoot frame like that, right? This is quite different than the one we used to have earlier. The one we used to have earlier, like, is very tight in terms of like the beginning. So let's just animate and then let me show you what I mean, right? And like anticipation pose requires you to also understand what kind of poses are you trying to do for the animation, right? We're doing an egg, right? So a simple squash and stretch would suffice. Meaning, if I do the first drawing right here, do a first drawing right here. The second drawing, we're still animating in twos, by the way. The second drawing would be, let's turn on the, he's gonna be squashed, trying to go a little bit. He's gonna prepare for the action by moving back, right? I think that's a good anticipation pose, him moving back, right? And then to really sell that, we're gonna squeeze him with that even more. That's why the drawing 1 is here, like drawing 1 is here, drawing 2 is here, and it's like drawing 3 is here, right? And then drawing 4 will be here. And we can even copy this one over here and drawing 4. Actually, no, we don't need to copy him. We can draw him kind of like fast. He launched himself, right? I don't know if I'm selling this one real good, but it's like next one is like that, and then we can copy this one over here, and then we can adjust him so we don't have to redraw him, right? We're kind of like starting to squash him even more, or stretch him even more, right? And then right here, is stretch, right? And maybe over here we can copy this one. Over here we could copy the other one. And then right here, we don't have to copy everything, we're just kind of like and then 11 is actually gonna be a drawing where he gets squashed, something like that. Here's a wall. Let's pretend that this is a wall right here. Boom. He gets squashed like that. And then he goes back to kind of like being not squashed. He kind of bounces off, right? And then goes back to his original position, original shape, right? Copy, paste, like that. So let's play it and then see how it looks. Let's see how it looks, right? You see how this animation is a little bit more kind of like something different, you know? There's a little bit more action because I added a little bit more, like a couple of drawings to indicate overshoot and anticipation, right? He backs down, right? He backs down, prepares for him to go speed, to go fast. He went fast and then hits the wall, and then he kind of like overshoots, right? He's supposed to stop, but he couldn't stop right away, so he makes all the difference, right? By adding a couple more frames. So now let's look at how it, how this one kind of looks like when compared to the other ones, right? I think we can put him on top right here, and then put him on top right here. Then let's compare it to to the first one. Yes, with animation we must learn how body work, how the body is to work in a fluid motion, not just random movement. Yes, you cannot animate your arms going like kind of going backwards or something that doesn't allow you to do that in real life. If you are animating a a human, you need to understand that whether or not the human you're animating can do those things. It's a different thing if you're animating something like a bizarre character with freaking legs and all that stuff, right? That's different. Jay, here is this Adobe Animate? No, this is Clip Studio Paint. You guys can see a lot of difference now, right? So the bottom one is very basic animation. The top one is basically no, the second to the top is we added the concept of ease in and ease out, and then we use squash and stretch on the third one, and then using further the squash and stretch combination with ease in and ease out, we arrive at the action that's that's on the very top, which is a lot more fun to do. You know, like it's a lot more there is a lot more characteristic on top of it. It's more funnier too, you know. Like that is how the simple animation is, right? So we gave you how many concepts already? Timing and spacing, the concept of speed, right? That's 3. Ease in and ease out. What do you call this? Ease in, timing and spacing, speed, ease in and ease out, squash and stretch, and then acceleration, anticipation and overshoot, right? And then the last thing I want to kind of like touch base for today, at the very least, is something called arcs. Right? Let me just rest. Rest. Level 5 is arcs. I think that's how I'm gonna animate. So the next video, I'm just gonna say to you guys how I'm planning to kind of create it. Level 1 is at the bottom, level 2 is at the second to the bottom, level 3, it's like level by level. So level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Is when, and then master level is when you can apply all of this one into a character animation. We're just animating Gudetama over here. we're just animating like an egg yolk, you know. That's it, which is funny to me, you know. You can't like yes dude, like for I'm just calling your name, but I'm not saying yes to the question. No, you don't have to learn. You can learn during when you're starting animation, right? You don't have to learn before you start animation. In fact, don't separate it, right? Do not separate the learning process, because how the body works when you're trying to animate, if you're using references, right? If you're using references, you'll be able to realize that, oh, that's how the body works while you're animating. Hi, In Boots. How are you? We are learning animation right now. We're almost Like how many hours in? 2 hours in, 2 hours and 20 minutes in. I've been talking about how to animate, right? And we've touched base on level 1. So let me put that somewhere over here so this is level 1, level 2, level 1, level 2, level 3, and then level 4. Yeah, feel free to, go back if you want to go from the start on how we achieve this level 1, 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, this is something new that I've been trying to kind of like see if I could teach animation during a live class. It took time, like how many hours? I mean, 2 hours and 20 minutes so far to reach level 4. We're not even like, this is still, I feel like this is still like very, very, very super basic stuff. Like most of the things that you see on the internet or like you see in YouTube is this. And I'm not even like done, you know. My best advice is to, obviously you're already learning how this animation works. I'm gonna create another one of this kind of like tutorial sometime in the future on how to animate and how to apply this concept into the body, right? When you're animating a character, right? So oh yeah, like oh shoot, I should have posted our freaking Discord server. Yeah, like I don't know if we have an animation challenge so far. Yo's run. Let me find that one out. Let me find that one. Inbox. Let me find the link to the Discord server. I'm kind of like running, or like I'm helping to mod it to find people. Analytics. Oh no, content. Oh, you see the Discord community? Okay, yeah. You can actually see it in the description. Yes. Feel free to join that. Yeah, join the community. I should have pasted this, by the way, at the beginning. And then I need to in this message. Is Clip Studio Paint EX is good for starting animation. You can actually use a you're going to do your own anime someday. I've made some short anime version of YouTubers. You can see it in my channel. So go like make an anime. I wanna make something someday, like original, all that stuff. And I wanna put all my effort, all my knowledge to it. I'm still learning animation, by the way, and I'm just basically sharing you guys what I've learned from the courses that I've took. I mean, for free, like this video I'm doing. This actual video I've learned from a couple of YouTubers before, right? I've learned from Colosso, right? So I'm helping you. I'm trying to help you guys get into it because I love animation. I love anime, I love to do all that stuff, right? So, um, I'm passionate about it basically. So, we're working. Yeah, I'm helping you guys. Like I'm doing my best to kind of like give you guys a boost to learn anime. Yeah. So, you're going. Yes, I'm doing like I'm very 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 motivated to do my own anime someday, like original characters, all that stuff. Like maybe I could do a trailer, and then maybe we could submit it to a studio. Will you? Oh, will you are going to add waifus to your anime? I, I, I don't know, man. Waifus in the anime is a bit. We'll see what kind of anime is it. Like I want to do something action. I want to do something spectacle. Like will there be a waifu there? I don't know. I tried doing it in my old channel. I just attracted like down bad people or some like I don't know. Like we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on, guys. Let's move on to the next stop, which is we're moving on, guys. We're moving on to our next stop, which is uh this is demo 5. So I'm gonna fix all of this one. You're gonna find the video waifu action. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll really see, you know. I don't know. I wanna animate something like along the lines of um Final Fantasy. You know, I don't know if you guys play Final Fantasy. I wanna animate like a regular character dude battling like summons and whatnot. I think that will be cool. Like a Final Fantasy anime would be really cool. I think that would be really cool. I don't know how to go about it. I don't know how to design characters that looks like a Final Fantasy character. I don't know what kind of story I'm going to make yet. Not yet, but someday, somehow I will. So let's move on, right? We are already at demo 5, demo stuff like that. So we're gonna turn that off, and then we're gonna proceed with something called arcs. And most action, right? If we create this character, right? I don't know if I could do a perfect circle, right? But at the very least, I could do something like this, right? And there we go. Yeah, for sure. Like I'm that kind of project. I won't be able to do it by myself. That's 100% sure, bro. Like I'm telling you right now, I can't do that project by myself. So definitely would need help at some point. I'm open. I just don't know when because I want to focus on create like teaching, showing people what I've learned and helping a lot more people. Like imagine this, bro. Like I want to be able to help a lot more animators to get into animation, and I want to work with them. If I could teach you guys how to animate better, like I'm not the best animator, but if I could teach someone, let's say a prodigy for example, right? One of you may be a prodigy over here. Who knows, right? One of you here may be a best animator who just don't know yet, and then tomorrow or like the next few weeks, next few months, you became the best animator. Like that's how prodigy like are, right? They don't know they're good at something until they actually do it. If I am able to inspire like one of you to start animating, right? And then you became better than me, and then we work together to do something cool, I'm happy, you know? So, anyway, arcs. Like, I love the action that we do, right? I love the action that we do as humans and everything. Like, is is not determined by a straight line. It's not, we don't move in a straight line. Yes, we walk in a straight path, but more of the action that our arms do, right? If you have like regular, you know, the Da Vinci. Okay, let me guys show you. I haven't drawn a character in this uh demo yet, but I will now. You know, the Da Vinci hand. You know this kind of like image of the Da Vinci or something like that, where something along those lines. So, yeah, exactly. The pen, yeah. Oh, I remember Isagi from Blue Lock. Yeah, maybe I could have a Isagi character over, animator over here. I don't know, Prodigy, right? So the Vitruvian man. Yeah, there you go. You guys know, you guys understand. That's great. So, over here, the arms that we have move in an arc, right? Like, we are like, our natural movement move in an arc, and if you try to kind of like punch straight or something like that, that feels a little bit stiff when you punch straight, right? Or but when you punch like across, like the hook, and that's why, you know, the hook, I don't know, this is just me, right? The hook is a lot more kind of like cool to do than the straight. I don't know. But anyway, that's just a boxing analogy. I don't know my boxing, right? Perspective, anatomy, and time passes very quick. I did not start drawing digitally, only tradition, because I believe in facing the because drawing also contains a lot of information. Makes the session drawing the face, body, perspective, anatomy, and time passes by very quickly. Yes. Chanting then learning. Oh, there you go. Yeah, all good, man. All good. Like, we're I appreciate you being here. Just kind of just hanging along, man. Um, So anyway, we're having fun and learning over here. So, this is that's what I'm saying. It's like arcs. Remember arcs, right? um, I have to research more to talk more about it on the video that I'm going to make. But bottom line is that we move naturally when we in arcs. Our bodies move naturally in arcs, right? So if you recognize that, um, you don't basically, if you recognize that, then you can understand and appreciate the power of arcs, right? Let me modify this one right here. Kind of like try to see the arc, because we're gonna map out our egg character doing this one, right? So if we animate okay, if we animate Gudetama over here, again we're doing 12, right? We're doing kind of like 13, right? 13. So we're doing half. Right. So, yeah, like drawing in digital is like a lot faster, man. Like yes, do like for me, and at least that's my experience, right? So it could always help you. Um, so good the time over here. We'll be probably swinging. I'm gonna place it here. Next one, I'm just gonna copy paste him, and we're still animating in 2s, by the way, right? So 12 frames per second, and we're gonna cut off the animation right here. No, we're gonna loop the animation, right? We're gonna loop the animation of him going back and forth. So let me just do that right now. So might help to not do that yet, and then maybe do that after. Three is somewhere right here. Four is somewhere right here. 5 is somewhere right here. 6 is somewhere right here. 5 Now we need to fix this one. So it looks like you want him to kind of like have that turn. This is what I mean by kind of like understanding the movement and all that stuff. Like, the reason why I'm rotating him is just so because it's more natural that he is rotating through the action, right? It's more natural for him to kind of like do this action right here. So when we go and try to find that top over here, we can say that that is where we're gonna connect our kind of like rope. Okay. Oh, one more. Yeah, like yes, do like you can do like you don't have to overthink uh what logicel you use. What logicel? I don't know what that logicel is called. Oh, sorry. Clip Studio. I just use Clip Studio. You don't have to use all of the software to learn animation. You just need to use one, the one that works. You know, just like a pen and paper, right? Pencil and paper, right? Oh, software. Software. I'm using Clip Studio Paint. So, now we're gonna reverse the animation over here, right? By there, this is a shortcut. Assign multiple cells. Start number 13 and number 1. Right, number of frames too. I don't know if it's gonna. Yes, it got reversed. Nice. So if we turn this one opacity 25%, just so it looks like a freaking swinging good. I love it. Gudetama is swinging, man. That's the pendulum version of this character, right? Yeah, right? You see, like, this is why I want to introduce this in my own style. Like, you can definitely watch a lot of videos on YouTube that talks about the same thing. The problem with that is some of them like just uses a ball. You know what I mean? They use a very like, and I have nothing against them because I learned all of it. I learned from them. I used those videos to learn my animation. But like for me, I like fun. You know, I like fun things to do, right? Like I'm not gonna get too like I don't wanna animate a freaking pendulum, man. Like, I wanna animate a freaking like I wanna animate this one, like a swinging character. A pendulum will help you, but this is more fun. You know, like if I could create a YouTube video that talks about the basics of animation, which is basically what we do today, I'm gonna do it in such a way where you're also gonna have fun. You know, you're gonna be more motivated to try to add like maybe a pouring a face on the character, or maybe add a face to the rock, or a rock animation, or a coin. Because I watched a video which is a very like very helpful video, right? And he used stop motion to kind of like create the the concepts, explain the concepts, and it's very good. Like that's all the video that I ever need to be able to learn animation and understand the basics. But not everyone would resonate with learning that. And for me, like I like doing fun stuff, right? So you like okay, so now that you get the arc, right? This is arcs, right? This is level 5. And right now level 5, right? Like I mean level 5.1 I would say, because right now he's swinging. What concepts did we apply already over here? We know that we're animating in twos, right? We're animating in twos, which is kind of like our timing, right? Our spacing is determined by this ticks over here that you see, the spacing of the character, and then we use ease in and ease out over here at the end, right? Ease in and then ease out over here at the end, right? So it's like it's natural, and then especially right here when you reach the top of your kind of like swing, you slow down over there, and then you get a lot of speed when you are kind of like at the bottom, right? And that's the reason why you when you're swinging, like I don't know, like I have a like we used a lot of swing when I was a kid. Where do you actually jump? You jump when you reach this spot over here, right? When you reach this spot over here, that's where you jump, because you're slowing down and you have a lot more control with your body, and that's why you jump from this position, right? And that's why you're slowing down. Like that's why you jump at a time where you're slowing down, because you have a lot more control. You don't jump when you're right at the bottom. Well, just because you're already at the bottom, why would you jump, right? So anyway, that's like my my take on it. You know, like on I don't know if I use a good analogy for this one, but yeah. So I don't even know if I did the freaking pendulum over here like correct, because like you can see how my what do you call this, my what do you, the length is wrong, so I could notice that. So maybe we can fix that, right? We can fix the pendulum, right? Or like the swing, because it feels wrong, right? The reason being is like I already said it, it's like the swing is longer, right? Can you guys see the length is of the length of the rope is seemingly kind of like shrinking on top and then extending at the bottom. That's wrong. You know, that's very wrong. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna adjust this one, then maybe we could see that the actual we could probably see it like this, right? I think it's more right here. Yeah. So I think because we did a half circle, the radius of this circle is more like right here, right? You know what I mean? So our animation is actually supposed to start right here. This is where the swing is, you know. Just gonna try it and then let's see. And mind you, man, like a lot of people were teaching on YouTube about the basics of animation. Like I respect all of them. So you can always try to see which teacher is the best when it comes to teaching animation. Because there's a lot of free stuffs over there, and also there's a lot of paid stuff that you can do. Um, you know, so it's a matter of choosing your mentor, right? Do you like the style that my style of like creating characters to explain concepts, you know, um, or what? So even the like you see even the rope that I'm animating, to be honest with you guys, like I'm actually not doing a straight line for the rope, right? Just because like it's not natural, you know. So now it's better. You see, and I think this is the last of the like concept that I wanna kind of like make, but we're like I'm gonna try to improve it still, right? He's swinging, and we're gonna add squash and stretch, right? We won't be able to add anticipation and overshoot to this one, and the reason being is it's a looping animation, right? So, like, it's a looping animation. So basically, when you have a clear start and end of an action, you can use anticipation. But if it's a looping animation, it kind of feels weird that you are anticipating. You're gonna introduce an anticipation frame or anticipation drawing when you're about to do a looping. You know, yeah, a little pause on top as well. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna improve this one last time, like this animation, we're gonna improve this one last time by adding squash and stretch, because again he's a freaking egg yolk, right? He's an egg yolk. So you know, yeah. I mean, he's an egg yolk, he's supposed to be soft. So that's what we're gonna do next, and then I think I'm gonna call it after that, you know. Like yeah, I've been three and a half hours, which is a good time, you know. I know, like, you guys feel that you need more, you want more. I don't know. Wind impact, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, wind impact. Yeah, I mean, those are advanced things. You know, those are advanced things that you can introduce in your. You can always improve animation, but like I'm basically just showing you six simple animation principles. Not six, but five. You know, because I'm combining some of it, right? um like I'm combining overshoot and anticipation, so like it's basically 5, right? Or 4. I don't know. Sorry. Um but yeah, anyway, we're gonna improve this one by having him by animating him like this. He actually goes flat, a little bit flatter. He became like at the top, right? He gets squeezed at the top or squashed at the top. Yeah, squeeze and squash is the same thing. Then maybe his feet are like that. And over here we can also do an in-between pose over here. A little bit less squash, you know. A little bit. Not totally squashed, but just a little bit. And mind you, like I think one of the most important thing about squash and stretch is making sure that your volume is correct. You know, like there's a lot of people like who like this one is a little bit out of volume, meaning like if I like the volume of the character squashing and stretching should be the same, right? So if you are going to squash, if you're going to squash him over here, he's supposed to stretch at the like. If you're squashing him right here, he's supposed to stretch like that, right? With the same volume. So I'm not an expert on here, like here, like I still make mistakes on trying to find the perfect spot of the squash and stretch, you know. And then when he's over here, I think he can start to go fast, right? Right now I'm just figuring out the poses of this character while he's swinging, right? and because obviously over here it's not the same, it's gonna be like squeeze now, or stretch, right? Oh, you know what? My poses are wrong. The reason being is that this pose is supposed to be right here. I'm gonna explain a little bit. Just give me a second just to finish these things. This pose is supposed to be here. Because there's a concept called drag, right? So this one is actually here. Yeah, that's drag. And then here it's this one. Now this one is like is almost like flying right over here. Again, like some stuff over here is mostly kind of like trial and error. You kind of just need to try. That's why I'm starting simple with an egg, you know. Yeah, no, yes. So 24 frames, yes. You draw 24 layers, but I'm drawing in twos. This, which is my explanation earlier. When I draw in twos, I cut that work off by half. I draw 12 frames now, right? Instead of the instead of 24. I forgot to kind of like copy what we had earlier, so it's gonna be hard to show the difference because I have to do it again. But I hope you find this one better. Sorry, that's not it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. No, we're not done yet, sorry. And I think here we can introduce him being squashed again. And then here, he is definitely squashed at this point, right? became a sausage on top by the time he reached on top. Now you can see that he's soft, right? And the fast movement at the bottom also, like, like it adds up to that thing because we change his property by introducing squash and stretch. Right? Because of the squash and stretch, we're able to add a little bit more character, add a little bit more life to the animation, add a little bit more oomph to the animation, and life to the character. So, yeah, that's how we're rolling right now. Yeah, it's like natural, right? There's a lot of ways to kind of like improve the character and character animation and all that stuff. There's really a lot of ways, but it really depends on how much are you willing to work for it and all that stuff, right? This animation is very simple. I just want to introduce the concepts to you guys. We've discussed, like, I'm gonna do a quick recap right now, and then I'm gonna call it a night. I do have to work on something else, some commission work that I have to do. Also, I need to rest. Right, been talking for the past 3 hours now. A 3-hour lesson for the basics of animation sounds about right. Like, but I could make it faster. Next time, right? Like, I don't want to take a lot of anyone's time. And again, thank you so much for being here because I'm able to practice with your questions and whatnot. I'm able to kind of like give out a lot of my thoughts and processes on how to animate, and you're learning too. Like, I was thinking about what am I gonna stream today, and I suddenly had a realization to kind of like, oh, maybe I should stream like a lesson instead of streaming my own work, Yeah. Because I had two ways of going about the live session. Like, I was gonna just animate one of my projects, but I kind of want to practice how to teach live, So, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Yeah. Well, Rufus math, definitely. I will make a video about all of this one, and I create, like, the whole reason I did this is so I could hit two birds in one stone. Basically, what I'm going to do now that I have this video live, right? I'm gonna take it, download the live, and then I'm gonna make notes on it, and I'm gonna create maybe an 8 to 10 minute video, maybe a 12-minute video. I don't know how long it will take because it's gonna be a scripted video. And most of the things that I've talked about, like, live to you guys, like, without a script, I'll just summarize that in a script. And then I'm gonna record myself reading that script, and then I'm gonna give you the visuals that you've seen in this animation. Maybe even better visuals. Like, more so, this is just a recap. This is just like a practice for me to do a live session, because eventually I wanna kind of like open up like this kind of like lives, do more lives like this where I could teach more, like give you guys more like, I want to introduce advanced stuff, right? Nobody's talking about how to make an anime, which kind of like Like everyone talks about how to animate like basic stuff like this. So, but I want to kind of like teach how to actually make an anime, you know? Yeah. So, like I want like the more advanced you are, the better you become. Like I'm not the best animator. I'm more of like a teacher, but I have some thoughts I want to share because I've done some projects of my own, right? I've done some projects of my own that really kind of like level up my skill level, and I'm still leveling up. Like I'm still like learning. I have a couple of courses coming up that I'm taking. I'm gonna share to you guys what I'm learning over there. So, like that's the whole idea of it. That's the whole gist of like what I'm like trying to do here, you know. Yeah, animation is fun, man. Like we wanna animate fun characters. We wanna animate characters, man. I think that's it. I wanna animate an anime character. So eventually, I wanna be able to teach how to animate an anime character without going into too much details of like. That's why I wanna practice, right? This is just super basic stuff, but we can make it look cool, right? So let me recap some of the stuff that we talk about right now, and then we can call it a night, right? We can call it a night. We can rest. So right now, what you can see is the culmination of the concept of arcs, right? Um, Let me create a demo 6 for this one. Uh, Demo 6. So, right. Last notes, right? Animation, right, is basically a series of images played through time to create an illusion of movement. Imagine, like, animation is just like one image, like multiple images, right? Like multiple images put together and played through time. Exposure of each of these images is done through the timeline, right? Each images, right, is basically you have a lot of here either 24 frames per second, 12 frames. Like we're like basically what I'm trying to say is that um the exposure of each of these images is called frames, right? And if you're animating 24 frames per second, let me write that one down. Exposure is equals to frames. So I want to point that one out. The exposure of each of these images is called frames, right? And if we are animating in 24 frames per second, that means you will see an image 24 times every second, right? It doesn't mean that you're gonna see 24 different images. You're just gonna see 24 images in a second, right? That's how frames or frames per second work. Now, the exposure of these frames, whether each of these images are exposed for 2 frames, 1 frame, like 3 frames, is all about timing, right? The exposure of these images in the timeline is called timing. So if we do a demo 1 over here, then we open up the grid, and then we open up the demo, right? And we play it at one thing. That's the difference between animating in ones, twos, or threes. Animating in ones means that you are animating. Animating in ones means basically each of the images that you see, you have a different image at every frame, right? At every frame, for 24 frames, right? The second part is animating in twos, is that you see a different image every 2 frames. And animating in threes means that you see a different image every 3 frames. So this introduction, this is kind of like shows you the difference between all of them, right? This is your question, yes, a while ago, about, oh, does that mean that you have to do 24 frames or 24 layers? No, right? This is when you have to know the next concept, which is timing and spacing, right? Because for me, if I animate in 8 frames per second, or animated in threes, especially if it's a character, right? Like, that's plenty enough, right? So, like, it doesn't mean that if you're animating in ones or animating in twos, and or animating in threes, there's a huge difference in, let's say, speed. No, right? Because right here, what you can see is 1 second animation loop. It's a 1 second animation loop, but no one, like, for me, I don't see a lot of difference in terms of their speed between the two. In fact, it feels like 24 frames per second feels a lot more smoother than the other two. It's more snappier, but the other two feels a little bit kind of like tad feet faster, but all of them are reaching the same point at the same time, right? They're reaching the same point at the same time, right? So there's not really much of a difference between, in terms of speed, by just saying that threes animating in twos and animating in ones, right? So the next concept I want to introduce, again, this is just a review, right, for those who are just here, is demo 2, this one, timing, and timing is how many frames of this are being held, and then yeah, this is basically demo 2, right? How many frames are this being held, their timeline, right? So you can see in the timeline, right? You can see in the timeline that the one on top, right? Kind of wanna, because there's just nothing to do with the space. So, like, you can see in the timeline that I'm placing an image every frame over here. So we're animating this guy coming from this point to this point over here, right? But this is the difference between animating in fours, twos, and ones, right? Same amount of drawing. There are about 13 drawings over here, right? 13 drawings, and basically there 13 drawings over here. So I'm still able to show you guys. Yeah, there are 13 drawings over here, and the reason why animating in ones is faster is because he reached the end location faster. Yes, that means when you have like a 3-second animation, if you want to make it slowly or normal or faster, playing the drawing in the same time. If you, I mean, you have 3 seconds. If I want to make it at the same time. Yeah, like if you wanna animate in 3 seconds, you just have to expand it, That means if your character is moving, right? If your character, if you don't, okay, so basically all of this have the same amount of drawings, right? All of them have the same amount of drawings. There are 13 drawings, right? From to reach point A to point B, right? So the animation on top is faster because in that span, because he was able to reach the point B, this end point, in half a second, right? The second animation in the middle reach it by 1 second, and then the third animation on the bottom is like reach it at 2 seconds, right? So if you think about that, if you're gonna animate in trees, you need to be able to if you're gonna make a 3 second animation, depends on how many drawings are you willing to make. If you want to make a drawing every 2 frames, then you can do a lot of stuff from it, right? You can do a lot of like animation in 3 seconds to make it look fast. But if you're just talking about, oh, if I want to make it slower or faster, then from point A to point B, you just need to determine how long it will take you to get to point A to point B, right? Obviously, if you take less time, you're faster. If you take more time to get to point A to point B, then it's it's faster, right? So it's slower. If you take longer time to get to one point to another, it's like you're basically slower. That's the whole difference, right? So yes, Elias and Afal, wanna love these videos. Thank you, man. Like I'm making more. So that is the concept of timing, right? The concept of spacing now is trying, like, now you see in my timeline I have the same 13 drawings at the same point in the timeline, right? Which means all of them are kind of like grouped together, right? Oh, I am not understanding. Can I explain it again? Okay, one more time for our friend. Timing, right? If you see in the timeline of the thing, the top guy reach point B in half a second. The second guy reach point B in 1 second, and the third guy reach point B in 2 seconds, right? When you are animating, you have to determine how fast the action could be, right? So, meaning, if you want to animate faster, then you just have to make sure you're animating that character moving from one point to another, or doing a punch from like starting position to a punch, like in less amount of time. If you want to do that in half a second, then your action or your animation would be faster. If you want to do that slower, then you have to have that animation with the same amount of drawings expanded through maybe 3 seconds, and that would make it slower, right? That's all. That's the timing. And now you're adjusting the position of each drawing in the timeline to adjust the timing. The spacing, however, is different, but it's tied in with the timing, right? My timing over here, I have the same drawing, the same starting position for all of this one. Yeah. I have the same drawing for each of this one. Where's the... let's put him here so that it's a lot easier. I have the same drawing for each of this one, right? So this one at the bottom is moving very what do you call this? Very monotonous, right? Because the spacing for him is very constant. It's the same spacing, right? Now if we adjust the spacing, now you can add a little bit more flair or natural movement to your character, meaning introducing the concept of ease in and ease out, right? Over here, this point, the character would be a lot closer to each drawing will be a lot more closer to each other, and they are more far apart from each other over here. And then over here, they're also more kind of like clumped in together. And if you think about it, right? If you think about it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings in this span of space, right? In this span of space over here, there are 6 drawings. And those 6 drawings times every 2 will mean that this 6 drawing over here is kind of like half a second, right? Not half a second, but kind of like, yeah, it's half a second, right? The 6 drawings before you see the 7th drawing, it takes about half a second, right? So, and then this 7 drawing number 7, from 6 to 7, there's only 3 drawings, and there's a lot more space to cover in that 3 drawings, which means 6, 7, and 8 is just like, what do you call this? That's 1/4 a second, right? Am I right or wrong? 1, 2. Yeah, 1/4 a second. Say like some movement at some time, see slowly, sometimes faster in the same action fighting. Yeah, like some movements had sometimes it's slow. Yeah. This is what I'm explaining now, right? So because most people animate in 2s, right? Now you have to find a way to fix the timing, right? The faster, that's just one way to determine speed. The other way is to determine speed by doing by fixing the spacing of each of these drawings, right? Over here I say that you're slower because your drawings are more closer to each other. Over here you're faster because your drawings are farther from each other. And then you're slow again over here. And you can see that change when you see it right there, right? You see the difference? You're slower at the beginning and you're slower at the end, and you're faster at the middle. But you both reach the same time, 1 second, like like you reach the end point at 1 second, right? It's the same thing. And now we're also going to show the deceleration and acceleration, where the top part is you're very fast at the beginning and then you slow down, right? And then by the time you hit the end, everybody hit the end as well. The second to the top is basically you're accelerating. You're slower at the beginning and then you go faster at the end, right? So that's how you fix the timing, and that's how you fix the speed, and that's how you manipulate the speed through spacing, basically, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And that is basically the ease in and ease out, or acceleration and deceleration. Now we move on to the next one, which is squash and stretch, right? So by adding something like this, you can see some sort of a difference between the two action, right? You can see that the top one is a lot faster because you add a little bit more character. Yeah, so many drawings for slowly. Yeah, if you're doing a slow animation, there's gonna be a lot more drawings for it. You know, that's definitely the case, right? So this is just a squash and stretch to add a little bit more characteristic to your animation, and to kind of like manipulate time, like the speed that way too. Because now you see, I didn't fix the timing and spacing between these two animation, the top and the bottom. They have the same timing and they have the same spacing, but I just kind of like modify the drawing itself to make it look that the top one is a lot faster, right? That's an additional thing that most people don't really talk about when they're talking about squash and stretch, right? I've never heard this before. Well, not never. I've heard it in some cases. But it depends on how you see and how you feel with these drawings, right? So, that's that. And now, you have this one. Now I introduce the concept of anticipation and overshoot, right? Where we kind of modified a little bit. We added a little bit more drawing, fix a little bit of the spacing, right? And the timing. Well, the timing stays the same, but the spacing, we kind of modified it and added some drawings to make the anticipation poses and overshoot poses to level up the animation even more, right? So, if we add that over here, and then, yeah, and then we add the level 1 guy over here, we can see the difference between level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, right? Level 4 has a lot more characteristics to it, a lot more refined animation per se, right? Level 1 is very basic, looks like a rock traveling from one place to another. Level 2 is more natural, but still looks like a rock. Level 3 created that kind of like sense of, oh, now it's not a rock anymore. It's like a soft, fluffy marshmallow or whatever you may call it. Again, he's like an egg yolk, so yeah. And then level 4, there's anticipation and overshoot, which kind of like added to the whole vibe of the character, right? He bounced off at the end and he tried to anticipate in the beginning, right? Yeah, yes, this is very basic knowledge for animation. Yeah. And then you see, so after this thing, we went to animate the demo, this guy over here, right? The arcs. And this arc is like a swing, a pendulum. Like, I like level 4. Yes, level 4 is like, now now you know like a lot of stuff. Over here, arcs, like I would say arc is not really a level, like arcs are level 5. I would say it's level 5 for you to understand and introduce arcs to your animation. But all of them, like, you don't have to use all of them in your animation. It really depends on what kind of action are you doing, right? What I'm saying is that level 3 or level 2 is where everything starts to click. When you put in ease in and ease out action, then like majority of the time we're using ease in and ease out, we're using arcs, right? We don't necessarily use a lot of squash and stretch. Well, it depends really, but it adds a lot to the character, you know. So yes, so arcs, you use it when you're doing a character animation. Ease in and ease out, you're also using it most of the time, especially to make the animation look more natural. um Squash and stretch depends on really the pose, right? But that's why I want to make sure I have another separate class or live session talking about how to apply squash and stretch on a pose on a natural character, right? Because I'm a human, I don't really squash a lot. If I do, then I'll probably be kind of like dead or something like that, right? So that's the whole point, and then that's all I'm just kind of like saying is that squash and stretch, there's a way to kind of like add that to character animation, right? There's a way to add the squash and stretch into an animation that doesn't make it look bad, but that's gonna be another lesson on another day. So yeah guys, thank you guys for being here. This has been very very fun. um like I just recap everything, and again I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna try to refine all of these thoughts. I was able to practice together with you, and yes, do and some of you guys over here, thank you so much for kind of like, you know, hanging around with me and on this class, right? So appreciate you all, and have a good one. It's got 3 hour and 30 seconds of talking. Is I'm Yeah, I'm parched. I need to drink a lot more water. Yes, the VOD will still be up. It will be under, obviously, this live, right? Will be posted right away once I end the stream. It will be under my live tab, right? But there again, I will make a video about it, and I will condense this video in about 10 to 12, 10 minutes, around 10 minutes, right? I don't exactly know how much I could talk about. Yeah, I have a lot of things to talk about, but I want to optimize it for a YouTube video, which means it would be more concise, it would be more basic, like, you know, I'm gonna talk about a lot of the stuff I talk about in this video, but it's a more scripted one, right? Like, I'm gonna just cut right chase to the point. And I don't have to do a lot of demos because I've already done it, right? So yeah guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video or next live. I don't know when the next live is gonna be, but I appreciate you all, and thank you. Have a good one. Bye. Yeah man, thank you for hanging